Hello people, happy Wednesday. For Wednesday it is, and lo and behold it is. So, anything exciting happened to me on Wednesday so far, or since we last spoken? No. My friend Claire was supposed to be coming today, but she's not well, so she's not coming. So it's just you and me. So you'll meet people to talk to today. And yeah, brakes. That is the subject of today's sermon. Brakes. Now the chair that I'm currently in had a brake, broke. It's got two brakes to keep it sort of stationary basically, not to slow it down. They're sort of like handbrakes. Well, they are handbrakes, but you stop when you put them on. Then if you want to do anything like move about, lean across, reach for something, the chair theoretically stays stable on the floor. If the brakes don't work, say one brake doesn't work, then as you lean forward, the chair could swivel round, and if you're leaning left and the chair swivels right, that could toss you off the side, which you don't really want. But what I do really want, what I forgot to do before I started talking, was Abbott Ale. Abbott people, sponsor me, please sponsor me. I'll drink a can of beer of Abbott Ale every single day for the rest of my life if you sponsor me. Maybe 2 a day. Oh dear, that's going to play havoc with me units, isn't it? But as Inspector Morse said, if anybody watches Inspector Morse, fictional detective series, he's not CID, yeah, CID, I was going to say, not CIA, CID, sort of, I don't know what you say, 70s-ish, late 60s, 70s sort of period. I'll stick the rest of it there. Yeah, he used to like a pint, did Inspector Morse. John Thor played it. He's sadly gone that way now. And yeah, he used to like a pint of proper real ale, not your squirty, lagery stuff, real ale. And he liked a whiskey as well, which I do like a whiskey as well. Anyway, that's got me off the subject. Good health, everybody, by the way. Abbott Ale, sponsor me. Green King, mate, this apparently. I've just read it. I was just going to say it's Southwold Breweries, but it says Green King on the can, so I'll have to go with that. But I think they're from sort of Norfolk-y sort of way. Anyway, back to brakes. Yes, you got to have good brakes on your wheelchair, because otherwise it can get you in bother. At the minute, I've got one good brake and one sort of barely working brake on this one. So I have to sort of anticipate everything I do when I'm doing my stopping and leaning and everything like that. Otherwise I shall be on the floor. My incident the other day, where I fell on top of it and the ambulance people came out, wasn't to do with brakes. They put down, they hadn't got the brakes on and that's why I fell. It wasn't that at all. It was like I had it on its side and it just collapsed. I put weight on it and I was expecting it to stay rigid. And it didn't, it folded like it's supposed to do, except it was on its side, so it folded downwards and I was holding it, so I went down with it. Anyway, that wasn't brakes related. Well, it was in the summing up by the nice ambulance people, but I thought makes it more, it's easier to write down, isn't it, than sort of like a long fluted story about tangled cables and all that rest of it. What else have I got to tell you? Oh yeah, I used to have a motor scooter, a Lambretta, when I was a lad. when I was about, I don't know, what would have been, sort of 18, sort of age 17. And I had a motor scooter, Lambretta, and the brakes didn't work on it. This sort of half worked. And it was like so old, it didn't even have brake lights because they weren't compulsory when it was made. A bit like when I had my Ford Angular, it didn't have seat belts because you didn't need seat belts when it was built. So it was, exempt. So this had no brake lights, but it also barely had any brakes. And like coming from a Catholic upbringing, my parents were going on holiday and they didn't trust me being in my house on my own. Don't know why. But Mick O'Grady's parents were also going on holiday. So they somehow did this deal that I'd stay with Mick O'Grady and then nothing would happen and each house would be preserved because we're both stopping each other from having wild parties. Anyway, that never happened because Mick O'Grady had loads of wild parties. But one morning, I don't suppose it was maybe a week I was there or something, I don't know, it wasn't long. But one morning, he needed to get to work at somewhere in the town centre anyway. So I says, I'll give you a lift on my scooter. And I hadn't passed my test, so I was still a learner anyway. He got on the back. And we went into the town and we got stopped. I think it was Robin Hood Way where we got stopped by the police. Anyway, so got pulled up. Mick O'Grady ran off. He says, I'm going to be late for work, I'm gone. So before the police could stop him, he's gone. Hot-footed it down the street. Anyway, so the cops thought they'd test me. This road's on a bit of a downward slope. Test my brakes out. So a bit like me in the folding wheelchair, putting my weight on something that I thought would stop me. This copper pushed the scooter forward, applied the front brake, which didn't work at all, and it went and took him sort of like head on. So the whole thing collapsed with him. So they did me for, not sure what they did me. It was riding with a passenger when not qualified. I'm not sure about the brakes thing. They did me for whatever was the easiest thing to do me for. So I ended up getting endorsements on my licence and a fine. And in those days, you could get millions of endorsements. I think now you can get 12 and then you're banned. I had well over 12 before I was finished. Well over 12. All similar sort of stuff. Right, so that was, Mick O'Grady's story. Then I had a Land Rover Discovery. This is when I'm growing up. Not so long ago this is. Anyway, all I knew of this car, which was lovely, agricultural sort of Land Rover Discoveries, but a smashing car, stuck to the road like fantastic, 4-wheel drive. But I was noticing it wasn't stopping as quickly as it used to. And anyway, I ended up taking it into the garage down the road and I says, can you have a look at the brakes? Because they don't seem to be working. When they pulled it off, the brake cylinder, the disc, as it came off, it was so worn, it was so thin, they pulled it off and it's just like made of like, I don't know, icing cake. And they pulled it off and it just shattered into bits. All of them. And this bloke went bonkers. He says, my kid could have run out in front of you. You'd have put your foot on the brake and slowed and killed him and everything. I said, I'm not mechanic. I says, I knew they were a bit dodgy and I was adjusting my driving, using my brakes to slow down. Not my brakes, my gears to slow down. And, slowing down earlier. But I didn't know they were that bad anyway. That's me and brakes, not a great history. Anyway, so I thought I'd write a song about brakes. So I'm going to make up the tune as I go along, because I'm not sure what it is. I'm sitting in a wheelchair with 1.5 brakes. That's not horsepower, it's more of the stoppage it makes. This is not stoppage from moving along at speed, more stopping as in remaining stopped when that's what you need. This is slightly important when swapping to another seat, which is not entirely easy when you're lacking standing feet. Do, do, do. But for now I am static, nowhere to go. But if the urge to emerge comes across, then I'm here no more, here no more. There we go. That was called, I think I'll call it a stoppage song. Stoppage song. I found on these videos, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, they're looking for, like, I used to put whatever song I was doing, like the title of it, but nobody's that bothered, I don't think. You want sort of like grabbing headliney thing, like, I died making this video. Then people will watch it to see if it's true or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. No. Anyway, so yeah, that's the end of this video for today. It's birds are tweeting. It's not like yesterday when it was still nice and warm. I think it's only about 13 degrees today, which is sort of winter weather. It's not a bad day in winter, 13 degrees. Merry Christmas, Mr. Abbott. But there we go. I don't know. I might pop out and have a ride around just to get a bit of air. See how many flowers are going. They're all dead, I know that. I'll read them the last rites or something like that. Yeah, anyway. Thanks for commenting, especially the commenting, because I love it when you write things to me, like messages and whatever. Lovely to know that you're listening, that you're there. And like today, I'm not speaking to anybody else. I'm only talking to you. You know what I mean? They talk about people. Oh, he's on his own and he hasn't seen and spoken to anybody for weeks and weeks. It's only when the bailiff came round to take the telly back, that's the first person they spoke to for ages. No, it's not as bad as that. But today, you will be the only people I've spoken to. So thank you for listening and enduring. And I'll see you and talk to you tomorrow. Okay, bye.